We want to welcome you to tonight's missing discussion, and we're going to be focusing on a case of a young woman tonight from Texas who disappeared in 2016. And in just a moment, you are going to hear her story and the agonizing pain for her family not knowing where she is tonight. Also, their search for answers and the latest on the investigation with detectives who currently are working this case. But first, a few things about our missing series that we want to communicate to you. We launched this series last fall after the disappearance and national search and ultimately the death of Gabby Petito. At the time, there were many people who asked, why did Gabby's case get so much media coverage and attention? Why not cover the many other thousands of missing person cases that happen across the country every year? Well, we heard that criticism and those thoughts, and that is exactly what we started doing. And it is our mission here at NewsNation and for our Prime team. Since launching this missing series, we have covered cases from coast to coast, and you're seeing some of those on your screen right now. And many of these cases came from you. We heard about them. You told us, men and women, boys and girls of different backgrounds and races that vanished. These people have never been seen again. Each one of these people has a family, they have a friend who cares about them, and the hope is by shedding a light on their stories, it will spark a conversation. Maybe it'll lead to some answers, and in some cases, closure for the family and friends. This is where you come in. We want to partner with you to bring these cases into the spotlight and then join in the conversation. And the case that we're talking about tonight centers around a woman. She is from Fort Worth, Texas. And here she is. Typhenie Johnson was just 25 years old when she vanished after an argument with her boyfriend at the time. Correspondent Marky Martin spoke with Typhenie's family and also police that are actively investigating this case. And in a moment, I'm going to invite you into this conversation here online. First, though, here's Marky with Typhenie's story tonight.
People don't just disappear. She's somewhere.
A parent should never have to bury a child, but losing a child to the unknown, having no body, no answers, is a different kind of hell.
I told him he ever hurt her, I'd kill him.
Deb Johnson is living that nightmare.
And this is where we ended up at.
Almost 6 years ago, her daughter Typhenie vanished on an autumn night in Texas at the hands of an ex. To her family, Typhenie is known as Pippi, or Kit Kat, the one whose dimpled smile could light up a room. Her Instagram page paints the picture of a typical 25-year-old. Selfies, fun nights out with friends, quotes about love, and 2 seemingly happy photos with former boyfriend Christopher Reville, a man and relationship her family calls controlling.
He was very jealous of Typhenie. Typhenie and I had conversations about Chris. If something didn't go his way, it was Typhenie's fault.
He would tell her what to wear, what was appropriate to be with him, how she should look, don't wear makeup if you're out alone.
They dated for about 6 months before Typhenie broke things off and tried moving on. In October of 2016, Typhenie was hanging out with her twin brother and his girlfriend at their apartment near Fort Worth. A new guy she was spending time with was about to come over when Reville showed up instead. The two took what became a heated conversation outside. Typhenie hasn't been seen since.
Lead detectives and investigators are looking at a 90-minute window.
Sergeant John Phillips with the Fort Worth Police Department responded to the scene that night and has been on the case since the 911 call came in.
It was a missing person. It was a probable kidnapping. It was all wrapped up in the relationship that they were in.
Authorities found Typhenie's keys, her cell phone, and her sock in the parking lot. Reville had driven off, but then returned to the scene.
Once we started interviewing Chris, yes, we knew because of the answers that he was giving, to the questions. We knew he was being deceptive about specific events that led us to be very suspicious that something bad had happened to Typhenie.
Reveal was arrested that night, and in 2019, he was convicted of Typhenie's aggravated kidnapping. But in a twisted turn of events, his sentencing, life behind bars, delivered after being connected to the disappearance of a second ex-girlfriend, 20-year-old Taliba Islam, who also disappeared from Fort Worth back in 2006.
I can tell you that emotionally, myself and a lot of the detectives that worked on this case imagined them together. They've become inexorably linked because of the circumstances of their disappearance.
Family across the country demanding justice.
You're in hell. It needs to stop. We need answers. We need Typhenie and Taliba home.
Deb Johnson still talks about her daughter in the present tense, preferring to believe Typhenie is still alive.
I just don't have that gut feeling yet.
Time passes, the years go on, and she has no peace.
I don't go to birthday parties or family functions. I've missed reunions. I can't do them because Typhenie loved them. She loved to be with the family. She loved to be with friends, and she's not there.
Marnie, just a really chilling, disturbing case. Just to reiterate here, the thing that is so strange and so bizarre is that you have two missing women, one man, one suspect linked to them both, and not a single credible lead has come forward since either woman went missing. Taliba went missing now 16 years ago, and Typhenie Johnson went missing almost 6. Marnie.
Right, and what's so chilling, Marky, is to have those 10 years in between Taliba's disappearance and Typhenie's, that this man who is accused of potentially killing them both is out there in the public. A couple things that I want to share with people at home, and this is the time for you to join in the conversation as Marky and I talk about this case. Marky, I want to take people back to 2016 when Deb Johnson got the call from a family member that Typhenie was gone. Let's play this for folks at home, and then we'll talk about it.
Her twin brother had called me, and my first question is, what's wrong? And he said, Typhenie's gone. And it was just, what do you mean? And he said, she's not here. She's gone. He says, he believed Chris took her. Chris was backed up behind the apartment complex, and her sock and phone was found on the ground, and her keys were on top of her car. So last time he had seen her is she was outside arguing with him.
And that is when the nightmare for that mother began. Marky, I know you talked extensively to Deb about the disappearance of Typhenie. What does she believe in her heart happened 6 years ago?
So, Marnie, in the piece I mentioned, she still speaks of Typhenie in the present tense. I told her, walking into all of these missing stories, it's a sensitive area to navigate, whether you talk about their family member in the past or present tense. She said she does not have that mother's intuition that her daughter has died. She does feel that she is still alive out there somewhere. Her thought is that she was sold into a sex trafficking ring by her ex-boyfriend, Chris Reveal, and that she is out there somewhere. Obviously, a horrific thought for any mother to have. If that were to be the case, if Typhenie Johnson were still to be alive, that would be just a horrific reality that she would be living. But Marnie, you asked police the same question, and they have a different stance on what they believe has happened.
And what do they say?
Sergeant Phillips, who I spoke with yesterday, and I also spoke with another lead detective on the case who was also there that very evening. They do believe that at this point, almost 6 years later for Typhenie, 16 years later for Taliba, they do believe at this point they are looking for remains. They said they have no doubt in their mind that Christopher is guilty of everything he was convicted of and more. So they do think that they are looking for bodies at this point. And those who have been intimately involved in the case since day one do believe that the two women there's a chance that they are buried together. And they said the thinking being, if Christopher Reveal did kill both of these women, and he had luck hiding Taliba's body 16 years ago, there's a very high likelihood that he would have returned to that exact same spot to bury Typhenie.
Just chilling details to think about. And investigators right now, Marky, just trying to piece together all of the different parts of this puzzle to understand what exactly happened. Ashley on YouTube is asking a question, Marky, and let's see if we can answer this. She is wondering, did he, Chris, lure Typhenie out of the apartment by saying that he was someone else? Speaking to the family members, the brother, the twin brother who was there, did they indicate anything else that stood out to them about how she left that night?
Yeah, hey, Ashley, a great question there. He did not lure her under any false pretenses that he was someone else. Typhenie, his girlfriend, all lived in this apartment complex actually just behind me here. They were having a fun night together. Typhenie was actually anticipating a new, I don't know if they would want to call him boyfriend, but another man that she had been hanging out with. He was expected to come over, and then Christopher showed up instead, and he wanted to have an argument. Things got heated. According to trial testimony, things got awkward very quickly as well. They took the conversation outside, and the twin brother actually told the mom, you know, when Typhenie went outside with Chris, we could hear them yelling from 3 stories up. That's how heated it got. Neighbors in this apartment complex told the mom they often heard fighting, loud thumps, hinting at that it likely was a violent relationship. But Ashley, great question. No, he did not come over here pretending to be someone else.
You know, Marky, a lot of people wonder after a certain amount of time passes if some of these missing person cases go cold or their investigators still working on it. That is not the case, not only with Typhenie, but Taliba. Sergeant Phillips talked to you about that and the amount of police resources that they keep looking, especially since he was on this case since the beginning. I want to play for people at home Sergeant Phillips talking to you. This is part of an interview that did not air in the earlier piece. Take a listen.
Do you think that you will ever know what happened to them?
I know what happened to them. Chris Reveal took them. I know what happened to them, but the more difficult question is, will we ever find them? And you don't do this job not having the tenacity to keep looking. And, you know, knowing Typhenie's family, the way I've gotten to know them over the years, you keep searching just for them and for your own peace of mind. You keep looking.
And to hear that police officers and Sergeant Phillips are relentless in their search for answers has to be really hopeful and leave Typhenie's family optimistic, Marky. I've got another question here from Starla on YouTube, and this relates to the police investigation that is ongoing in this case. Starla says, are there any searches for her, Typhenie, in land, water, ponds, etc., and has a car been checked for DNA evidence? Anything you can add to that?
Excellent question, Starla. In fact, there is a search this coming weekend, this Saturday here in Texas, and there are actually frequent searches, land searches, water searches. I know, Marnie, you and I were talking just earlier. Chris, authorities are looking at only a 90-minute window where he could have hid a body. He couldn't have made it far. However, if you drive around this area, you zoom out on this map, this is an extremely wooded part of Fort Worth. We're actually in Euless here. There are several bodies of water. Part of the Trinity River is here. So he couldn't have gotten far, but there are a lot of places he could have hidden a body. They have had multiple over the years. And in fact, you know, it brings me to my next point. Talking to Sergeant Phillips yesterday, he wanted to sit down and debrief before he went on camera. He said, I want you to know this is one of the most exhaustive searches Fort Worth has ever seen. The amount of resources, personnel, drones, dogs, humans, family, friends that came out and have come out multiple times. He said it is unparalleled to anything that this department has ever seen. And in fact, there is a search this coming Saturday. Deb, Typhenie's mother, also sharing that in one of these searches, they've actually found human remains belonging to a different family. So they have found other people in searches. Unfortunately for the Johnsons, though, it was not who they were looking for. So yes, Starla, Lots of searches have been had, and more are on the horizon.
You know, it's shocking and saddening that you've got one case, but then you've got Taliba's case 10 years prior to Tiffany's disappearance. What more can you tell us about what happened to Taliba, her relationship with Chris, and any information that police have shared about this young woman who still to this day, 16 years later, has never been seen?
So caveat right off the top, Taliba's family did not speak to us in this story, so there is a lot I can't speak to about her. However, I do know the circumstances surrounding her disappearance. She was 20 years old. This was back in 2006. She Chris Reveal at that time. They actually had a child together. And Taliba had gone over to Chris's place so he could spend time with the baby. And she hasn't been seen since. Family, friends have come forward saying she was not the type of woman, the type of mother to have ever left her child, abandoned her child, gone on to start a new life. Again, that was in 2006. 16 years later, no answers. And it was actually Taliba's case that came into the picture in Chris Reveal's sentencing when it came to Tiffany's kidnapping. Marnie.
Which brings us to another viewer comment. This is sort of a question, Marky, from Danny on YouTube. And I thought the same thing when looking at the two women. Any coincidence in that these beautiful women look so darn alike? That from Danny. Have investigators said if there is that type of link in this case? And also, are they looking at potentially any other victims of this man who's now behind bars?
So authorities did not say anything about the two women looking alike. However, you know who did was the aunt. I talked to Tiffany's aunt the other night. She lives in Minnesota. And she said, don't you find it odd that both of these women look strikingly similar? And she said, and what kind of, if he were to be innocent, you know, he's claimed his innocence all this time. If he were to be innocent, what kind of bad luck does one person have to have two exes go missing? And authorities said the same thing. They didn't bring up a point that they looked alike, but her family has. And I did ask Sergeant Phillips that very question, the latter part to the statement that you just said. Are they looking for anybody else? And they said at this time they are not. But again, with these missing cases, when you have so much unknown, no answers, every possibility is still on the table, and you can't strike any of them out. So I think that's what's maddening, frustrating, and heartbreaking for everybody involved, Marnie.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And great question, Danny, noticing the resemblance of the two women. Marky, I want to play another soundbite from Deb Johnson, Tiffany's mom, about her violent relationship, as the family describes it, with Chris. Let's listen.
She had called me once and told me that he had grabbed her wrist and it hurt, and she just says, but I can handle him. And you know, she was 5'3", 5'4", and he's quite a bit taller, so you know, she was at the disadvantage of that, but she didn't know how to fight.
Do you think she needed too often with him?
Marky, did Tiffany ever report this violence or abuse to police beyond telling her family what was going on?
I don't know if she had reported abuse prior. That's not something authorities ever shared with me. But I will say Deb Johnson, Janelle, who's her aunt, said they had red flags about this guy and this relationship for a while. Again, you heard her just say he grabbed her wrist there. And I asked the mom, I said, now what kind of woman was Tiffany? How would she have responded to that? And the mom, who at the time lived in South Dakota, said, you know, she just said, I've got it, Mom. I've got it under control. And also, she said at 25, my daughter wanted independence and she wanted to figure out the world on her own. So there was also a lot that Deb, her mom, didn't know either. In Taliba's case, you know, she had filed a restraining order against Chris a while back, even though the two had continued to hang out. There were reports of him hitting her while she was expecting their child. Marnie.
He denies any involvement, but is behind bars and sentenced to life in prison. Marky, I know this family wants answers in this case, closure, and to understand what happened. And it's great to hear that police are actively working both of these cases, these two young women who have just vanished. Marky Martin joining us live from Texas tonight. Thank you, Marky, and thank you to Ashley, Starla, Danny, and all of those online who have joined in this conversation tonight. If you have any information on this case, please call the Fort Worth Police Department. We've got that number for you on the screen. As we have said, this is an active investigation, not only from the case 16 years ago with Taliba, but also the disappearance of Typhenie Johnson 6 years ago. Every single one of these missing stories is important, and we need your help to shed light on them. So if you love someone and they have gone missing, if you have heard about a case that you think we should be looking into, now is the time. Submit a request. You can go to our website, newsnationnow.com/missing. We air these cases every Wednesday night, and as always, we welcome your ideas, your input, and you being part of the conversation to come up with answers in each and every one of these cases. Thank you for joining us tonight. Keep the conversation going, and I'll see you right back here next Wednesday. Good night.